And coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City. Welcome to the Sports Wagering Zone. No matter what time zone you happen to be in right now, you're going to be in the Sports Wagering Zone as well. So thanks for listening. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from the Mile High City right here in Denver, Colorado, right on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. We're here every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturdays and Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Well, we're going to be talking some baseball today because no NFL action going on for the next couple of days. So now we lean over and look and see where the pros are going as far as baseball is concerned. We have 3 games on tap for today. Kansas City against Cleveland, Toronto against Tampa, the Mets against the Boston Red Sox. So we're going to take a look at those 3 games up close and personal, try to get a look and see which direction the line is moving and also which direction the pros are going as well. Anyway, that's the story. We're also going to be doing some NFL talk. It's going to be about the new power rankings that came out today. There have been some changes. We'll go over them in great detail as well. But as usual, we start off each show looking back and kind of letting you know what happened yesterday as far as sports betting was concerned in the 2 major sports that are still working loud and clear. You got the NFL, which finished yesterday's week 2, and of course we have some baseball talk as well. So let's get the baseball out of the way first. The Cardinals are plus 167 on the money line. They beat the Brewers 5-2 last night for their 9th straight win. So once again, as we talk about winning and losing streaks at 9, it's probably going to be into more of you guys out there area as to what you think a winning or losing streak is. Here at the Zone, we think 6 is the number. But anyway, keep an eye on that one because whenever that change comes, when the Cardinals wind up losing a game, then we're going to be talking about the swagger theory as far as teams doing the same thing again. In other words, a team that's on a winning streak that generally loses the next game. The teams that are on a losing streak that they finally break and they win, they usually come back and win on the second half. Now, the underdogs went 7-4 last night, and the biggest upset, again, those Detroit Tigers plus 200 against the White Sox. We've been kind of talking about the Tigers the last part of the season because we noticed that they're doing pretty good as a dog. They're doing very, very well, in fact. The favorites still lead, however. They're at 59.4% as far as the season is concerned on the winning streak. And the over-under split 6-6 last night. The unders still have that slim lead of 50.1%. So that's the story, the roundup on baseball. And of course, like we said, we do have 3 games on tap, that we're going to take a look at that are coming up for today. Meanwhile, the NFL, the underdogs, they still lead 9-7 in week 2, while the over-under split 8-8. The Packers pulled away in the second half to beat the Lions 35-17 last night. That kind of wraps up week 2 for the NFL. The Packers also ended up covering because they closed as 11.5-point home favorites in that game last night. The game went over the closing total of 49.5 points as the overs are now 6-0 to start the season in primetime games. Yesterday we talked about it a little bit, that it was at 5, and it looked like it was going in that direction. They're now 6-0, starting the season, primetime games, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. Those are the 3 primetime areas that we're talking about. Like we said, the NFL underdogs still lead 9-7 in week 2. The overs-under split 8-8. The favorites, they still lead 17-15 straight up on the season after those first 2 weeks. But The Dogs lead against the spread. They're 21-11, which puts them at 65.5%. So with those 15 upsets plus the 6 covers in straight up losses, that's what's covered. Now the home road team split 8-8 straight up in week 2, but the road teams led 9-7 against the spread. They now lead 16-15 straight up, but they lead 18-13 against the spread, which is over 58% overall. Okay. Now, as far as the unders go, they lead 17-15 overall. They're at 53%. So that's what happened yesterday as far as NFL happened. And just to kind of bring you up to date as to how the pros have been doing in this particular category, NFL action after 2 weeks. Okay, altogether, yesterday they had the Detroit Lions, and of course that was a loser. And we talked about what they had on Sunday. They had 4 plays, 2 wins, 2 losses. So over the entire period that started on Thursday, altogether they had 3 winners and 3 losers. So they wound up being at 50% as far as this week is concerned. But as far as the season so far, now that week 2 is over, they have had 11 plays, 7 winners. They're at 63% so far for the season. Not a bad total when you're looking at 52.3 being your break-even point. And the pros with their selections that we've been telling you about are at 63%. So that's the story with the NFL. Like I said, we will be spending some time later in the show bringing you up to date. The new power rankings came out today with the New York Post. We'll kind of give you what happened there. There have been some changes. And like I said, we'll bring you up to date as far as the rankings are concerned. In the meantime, let's take a break. And of course, if you've listened to the show before, we do take 3 breaks. Each one is of 1 minute duration. So when we come back, we'll be talking baseball. We'll look at the 3 games we have on tap. We'll take a look and see which direction the line movement is. And, of course, that'll help us determine which direction the pros are going as well. So let's take that break, and we will be back in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go again. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. We're coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network right here, the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. And we're also podcasting. We podcast on most of the major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, you name it, you can find us just about anywhere you want. Anyway, that's the story so far with football. We covered what happened yesterday, and now let's take a few minutes and talk about baseball. Because the season is now what we call going into the home stretch. There's only about 11 games left in the regular season, and then the playoffs begin, and then to get to the World Series. So let's take a look at 3 games on tap for tonight. At 6 o'clock Eastern Time, the Kansas City Royals and the Cleveland Indians. The Royals are 69 and 82. The Indians are 73 and 76. Now, both of these American League Central teams are out of the playoff picture. No way they can get in. They're just playing for pride for the rest of the way. We hope anyway. The Royals have taken the first two games of the series. They won the opener 7-2. They were plus 145 as road dogs. And then they won again last night 4-2. They were a plus 120 as a road dog. Now, in tonight's game, Kansas City comes in with their left-hander, Daniel Lynch. He's 4-5 with a 5.34 ERA. Cleveland, they come back with their right-hander, Cal Quantrill. He's 6-3 on the season with a 2.89 ERA. Now, as we look at the line in this game, it opened with the Indians, a minus 130 home favorite, and the Royals a plus 120 road dog once again. Now, the pros have really pounced on the Indians to kind of bounce back and win this rubber match game. They steamed Cleveland up from being that minus 130 up to minus 140. Now, keep in mind, home favorites that get a 10-cent move of steam or more are at 61% so far this season. Now, Cleveland, they're 38 and 23 as a favorite this season. Kansas City is 46 and 60 as a dog. The Indians have gone 11 and 3 against the Royals so far this season. Of course, two of those games they lost yesterday and the day before. Now, we could also see some runs coming in this particular game. The total opened at 9. And is being juiced up to minus 120, with some shops already coming in at 9.5. So whenever you see that juice go up, you know the number's going to climb, and then the juice backs right back down to 110 again. Now, this indicates that the pro money is coming in on the over. Now, as far as the weather's concerned, temperatures in the mid-70s in Cleveland, 10 to 15 miles per hour winds, and they're blowing out to center field. That's why they kind of anticipate a much more higher scoring game because of the weather conditions as far as the wind is concerned. So in this first game, it starts at 6 o'clock, 6:05, somewhere in that area. Kansas City against Cleveland. General public is on Kansas City. They're thinking it'll take 3 in a row. Meanwhile, the pros, they like the Cleveland Indians. They think they'll snap out of it and win this game as well. Now, at 7 o'clock, you have the Toronto Blue Jays playing the Tampa Bay Rays. The Blue Jays are 84 and 66. The Rays, well, they're 93 and 58. Now, if the playoffs were to start today, both of these American League East teams would actually be in the postseason because Toronto is now in the second American League wildcard spot, while Tampa Bay, of course, they lead the division by 7 games with only about 11 games left. It's very doubtful that they're going to lose that position. The Rays last night's series opener that they won 6-4, they won as a 115 home underdog. Now, in tonight's game, Toronto comes out with their right-hander, Alek Manoah. He's 6-2 with a 3.39 ERA. And Tampa Bay starts their road dog, Drew Rasmussen, who's 3-0 with a 2.57 ERA. As we look at the line in this game, it opened with the Rays listed as a short minus 110 home favorite, and the Jays a plus 100 road dog. Now, the public doesn't know who to back, but the pros seem to be leaning on the Rays once again. They drove Tampa Bay up from minus 110 to minus 115. And remember, short home favorites, those are home favorites that are at minus 130 or less, are at 57% so far this season. producing roughly a 6% return on investment if you went in that direction. Tampa Bay is 41-19 as a home favorite. The Rays are 10-7 against the Jays this season. So once again, the two games, in case you tuned a little late, we talked about Kansas City against Cleveland. The general public is on Kansas City. The pros are on the Cleveland Indians. Toronto Blue Jays against the Tampa Rays. The general public, once again, is on Toronto. The pros are on the Blue Jays. So that's very simply right there. Okay, let's take our break. We got one more game to take a look at. That'll be the New York Mets playing the Boston Red Sox in Boston. So that's a game we're going to talk about up close and personal. Take a look at the line movement, let you know which direction the pros are going in that game as well. So let's get that second break out of the way, and we'll be back in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go again. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network right here in the Mile High City of Denver, Colorado. We're also podcasting. We're also on Apple or Spotify. We're on Spreaker, Google, you name it. We're there as well. Now, in case you tuned in late, you can just tuned in now. We talked about baseball today. We have three games we could talk about. The first one we talked about was Kansas City against the Cleveland Indians. And in this particular game, the pros are on the Cleveland Indians. In the game between the Blue Jays and the Tampa Rays, the Jays and the Rays, the pros are on the Tampa Rays. Okay, this is one where they kind of the public doesn't know who to back. They're kind of 50, 55, 45 on this particular game. Pros, they're all set. They like the Tampa Rays in this situation. And finally, at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time, the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox. The Mets, 73-77. The Red Sox, 86-65. Now, this is an interleague game. It's crucial for both of these teams right at this time. Remember, there's about 11 games left in this regular season. The Mets need to get hot real fast if they want to steal a wild card spot this year. They're trailing the second position by 6 games. So like we said, there's only about 11 games left. Meanwhile, the Red Sox, they occupy the top wild card spot in the American League, but they need to keep winning with the Jays and the Yankees and that's the A's and the Mariners because they're all just 3 games back or less of Boston. So once again, just to repeat that, to keep winning, they have to keep winning because the Jays, the Yankees, the A's, the Mariners, they're all just 3 games behind. So in tonight's opening game, New York comes in with their right-hander, Marcus Stroman. He's 9-12 with a 2.88 ERA. Boston comes with their lefty, Eduardo Rodriguez. He's 11-8 with a 5 ERA. And as we look at the line in this game, it opened with the Red Sox a minus 155 home favorite. The Mets a plus 140 road dog. Now, the public is laying the chalk with the Red Sox at Fenway Park, yet we've seen Boston drop from 155 down to 140 on the minus side. This means one thing. It's called a sharp reverse line movement on a road dog. The Mets are a decent plus money payout, plus 140, drop down to plus 120. Now, teams coming off of a win, receiving at least 15 cents of steam, are at 60% against the spread so far this season. Now, New York also has value because they're a road dog with the high total. The total in this game, 9.5, with the under being juiced out to minus 115, which means that the pro money seems to be coming in on the under. So the Mets and the Red Sox, crucial game for either team. The pros, they're on the New York Mets. The general public, they're on the Boston Red Sox. The Mets, in this situation, once again, repeating the three games we talked about. Kansas City Royals against the Cleveland Indians. The pros are on the Cleveland Indians in this game. The general public on the Kansas City Royals. Toronto Blue Jays and the Tampa Rays. The pros are on the Tampa Rays. Meanwhile, the Toronto Blue Jays, as far as the general public is concerned, they're really not sure which way they want to go. They seem to be leaning towards Toronto, although they're split pretty evenly in that direction. And then finally, the New York Mets and the Boston Red Sox, the general public, they're ready to lay that chalk on the Boston Red Sox. The pros, however, like the underdog in this game, and they are the New York Mets. So that's the story there. So let's take another break. But before we do, let's just review what has happened, because we haven't done too much baseball so far this month, primarily because the NFL season started, the college football season started, and that's where most of the attention is paid. But on these days, like Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we kind of take a little bit of a break. We can get away from those other sports and kind of concentrate on baseball. So just to give you an idea, coming into today's games, okay, the pros are at 50% so far. Those, up until this date, they've had 24 plays and they had 12 winners. So they're 20 and 24. Now, for today, the three games they have, we'll kind of make it a little further. We'll take a look. We'll see what the story is there. Now, that 50% average is actually for the month of September so far. As far as checking them from the beginning of the season till now, they are at 53%. So kind of give you an idea as to how well they are doing or how bad they're doing, depending on how you want to take a look at it. So those are the games for today. Once again, repeat them. Kansas City against Cleveland. Pros are on Cleveland. Toronto against Tampa. The pros are on the Tampa Rays. And the final game, the Mets against Boston in Boston. The pros are on the New York Mets, the underdog in that game. So that's the story on baseball. We'll try to get, like I said, try to give you some action possibly tomorrow. But again, it's going to be more and more football. You got Monday Night Football, you got Thursday Night Football, you have college football on Friday night and Saturday, and of course you got the NFL on Sunday as well in a big way. So we're going to try to concentrate on those because that's where most of the money is going. That's where most of the attention is being paid right now. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to take our final break. And when we do come back, we're going to take a look at the latest power rankings, how they have come out. There's been some changes. These are the power rankings. And again, if you're looking to become a good handicapper or to the point where you're having plus money at the end of a season, power rankings is the cornerstone of being a great handicapper. The pros use power rankings, the sportsbook use power rankings. Of course, they develop their own. Okay, they don't follow what the others are. Well, they probably keep an eye on them, but they do develop their own, and you should be able to develop one of your own, except that it does take a lot of work. And unless you have the time to devote to making power rankings, going through all the various processes, the next best thing you can do is follow the power rankings of some of the major power ranking people, like the New York Post, okay, Pro Football Daily, okay, also at NBC, they have them there as well. And of course, USA Today has a very good power ranking guy who does them very, very well. So again, kind of look at those. There may be a slight difference somewhere. There have been some changes. I think most of them have made the change and adjustment as well, because they did have Kansas City last time. I think this time they have somebody new. So once again, let's take a break. Take that break, get it out of the way, and we'll be back in 1 minute. And welcome back. Here we go. We're back again into the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo again, coming to you live from Denver, Colorado, the Mile High City, the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, and most of your major podcast platforms. So anyway, let's take a look at the power rankings. So this is from the New York Post, okay? And there's no doubt as to which team is the new team on top of the Post Power rankings for this week. The Buccaneers have won 10 straight games, going back to last year's regular season and playoffs. They scored 30 points or more in their last 9 of these games. That's a feat matched only by the Tom Brady-led 2007 and 2010 Patriots. You might remember the 2007 Patriots won 18 straight before losing the Super Bowl. And of course, they did lose it to the New York Giants. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, number 1, top of the list. Last week, they were number 2. Now, Brady's 9 touchdowns through the first 2 games are the most in his career. 4 of them have gone to his buddy Rob Gronkowski. Now there's talk that troubled future Hall of Famer Richard Sherman might join the team as well. Is this 2021 or 2011? Okay, so number 1 spot, you have the Buccaneers. And number 2, the Los Angeles Rams. They were number 3 last week. They're 2-0 so far in the season. Matthew Stafford to Cooper Kupp. It's a big top-tier connection with 2 touchdowns, including that go-ahead fourth quarter strike in a quality road game against the Colts last week. So where so many defenses folded in the final minutes of week 2, Jalen Ramsey had a victory-sealing interception to earn his very big salary. So it's at number 2. You have the Los Angeles Rams moving up from number 3. Now, a big upgrade also is San Francisco. Now at number 3, they were number 6 last week. They're 2-0 so far for the season. Now, what makes the 49ers so dangerous? In week 1, they won 41-33 against the Lions. Well, this week, they won 17-11 in a defensive struggle against the Eagles. That was a close game. The 49ers are loaded on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. About the only thing missing is a healthy running back, because whoever has the job gets injured before he holds it for a long period of time. They've had some problem in that direction. But San Francisco was number 6 last week. They are now number 3. At number 4, you have the team that was number 1 last week, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're 1-1 for the season. It's going to be hard to top Baltimore's win over Kansas City for game of the year. It was a reminder, a good reminder, that the Chiefs are going to get every opponent's best team. They likely would be undefeated if not for Clyde Edwards-Helaire's fumble on the edge of field goal territory, so it could have gone the other way as well. Then again, a late break in week 1 saved the Chiefs from being 0-2, so it kind of balanced itself out. So at number 4, dropping down from number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 5, dropping down a slot from number 4 last week, the Cleveland Browns. They're 1-1. Oh, the Browns. They rebounded from heartbreak against the Chiefs by disposing of the lowly Texans. The NFL's best two-headed rushing attack, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, is extra important now that Jarvis Landry has an MCL and he's joined Odell Beckham awaiting that season debut after that torn ACL as well on the sideline. So Cleveland from 4 down to number 5. A big jump up from number 9, the Arizona Cardinals, into number 6. They're 2-0 so far this season. They were a popular pick to finish last in that very competitive NFC West. The Cardinals needed a fast start to try to keep alive, keep that game going, keep the possibility of getting in there early. They dominated week 1. It's more impressive that they beat the Vikings while playing far from their best, even if a missed 37-yard field goal at the buzzer was needed to do so. So Arizona moves up from number 9 to number 6. At number 7, in a big jump, they were number 15 last week. Big jump to number 7, Las Vegas Raiders. They're now 2-0 also. The Raiders are not just 2-0, they're 2-0 with wins against 2 perennial playoff teams as well. They followed up on that upset of the Ravens by traveling across the country to beat the Steelers on a short week. Derek Carr's 382-yard passing performance puts him in the early MVP conversation. Might be something you might want to take a look at as a possible futures bet right now. And the defense finally has a post-Khalil Mack pass rush. It really was fantastic. Las Vegas moving from number 15 to number 7. Another big move, the Baltimore Ravens into number 8 from number 16. Nothing is more important than a symbiotic coach-quarterback relationship. John Harbaugh asking for Lamar Jackson's input and then trusting him with the ball on the decision to go for a 4th and 1 to put the game away. The Chiefs, this spoke volumes about a bright future as Jackson awaits his big contract extension. The defense, however, has to improve. Baltimore Ravens moving up from 16 to number 8. One other move upward, the Buffalo Bills. Number 11 last week, they're now number 9. Buffalo Bills are 1-1 for the season, and they've won 8 of their last 9 games, including 6 straight against the Dolphins. A 35-0 win was a feel-good game for the rushing attack of 143 yards and the second straight strong performance by that defense. Two weaknesses that they had last season. How good are Bills and how good can they be? Well, Josh Allen, he really hasn't even played well yet. So you put that together. So moving up from number 11 to number 9, the Buffalo Bills. Then finally in the top 10, another new team into the top 10. They were number 17 last week, the Tennessee Titans. A win in Seattle, anytime you win in Seattle, it's noteworthy. A win in Seattle when the NFL's rowdy 12th fan base is back in the building for the first time since 2019. Now that's impressive. The new face, the new facet of Derrick Henry's game, 6 catches, could be what takes Henry 182 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground to the first non-quarterback MVP since 2012. So that's just another guy you got to take a look at. If you don't have him on your list as MVP candidate, and I'm sure you'll probably get a pretty good, decent rate on him right now. So that's the moves. Those are the big moves that were made. Some of the big downward moves with the Seahawks moving to number 11 from number 5. The Carolina Panthers moved up from 23 to 12. The Saints went from 7 down to 13. The Packers went from 12 to 14. The Steelers went from 8 to 15. The Cowboys went from 14 to 16. Denver went from 20 to 17. And the Chargers went from 10 to 18. The Eagles went from 19, and they stayed at 19. And finally, the Dolphins went from 13 to 20. So those are your top 20. We talked in great detail about the top 10. Again, these are the power rankings put out by the New York Post, a very respected, a very reputable place to look if you want to look at power rankings. Also, like I said, you could take a look at USA Today. That's another good place to take a look, and you can get some good numbers there as well. So that's the story for today. We got a couple of baseball games we talked about. Once again, in case you missed them, Kansas City against Cleveland. Pros are on Cleveland. Toronto against Tampa Bay. The Rays against the Bays. The Pros are on the Tampa Rays. And finally, the Mets against Boston. Boston favored in this game. Mets are the underdog. The Pros like the Mets in this situation. So that's the whole story for today. It's Tuesday. We'll be back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, and of course on most of your podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts or Google or Spotify. We're just about anywhere you can find us. So that's it. I hope you have a really great Tuesday. And like I always say, if you're going to be betting today, I certainly hope you have a profitable Tuesday as well. So until tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great Tuesday. And like I said before, if you're betting today, I hope you have a profitable Tuesday as well. So until tomorrow, goodbye, everybody.